With the HasLab Moss Isley Cantina in the rearview mirror, we now focus on our next series of videos. Stay tuned for Populate the Palace, coming up next. Hey Star Wars fans, welcome back to another video from All Things Star Wars Considered. As always, I'm your host Doug, and today, at the request of one of my subscribers, I'm going to do the who's who of Jabba's Palace. And with the announcement that the Jabba the Hutt playset that was pipelined last year and put up for pre-order is now making its way to the United States from overseas, I think it's a perfect time that we can get into this. So stay tuned for Who's Who of Jabba's Palace. Well, if I've learned anything from the whole Populate the Pub, Dive Bar Denizens series of videos that I recorded, I think I'm a little bit more prepared. Keep in mind, I'm also more versed. I'm well versed on the Jabba's Palace. When they announced the barge in 2018, I did tons of research. I went out and I picked up all the action figures. So when it comes to Jabba's Palace, it is my favorite scene from the entire original trilogy. Probably if I had to go out on a limb, I'd probably say from the entire run of Star Wars films. I mean, obviously my favorite movies are the original three. I'm an original trilogy guy. And so if Jabba's Palace is my favorite, then I would think that would transcend all 10, 11 movies, all the TV shows. So when it comes to this, I'm very well versed. I actually put a list together, and I'm going to come up with quite a organized approach to this. So we're going to get into this coming up, and if you're wondering why I'm doing this, obviously there's a number of play sets and band pairs and just all kinds of stuff available for Jabba's Palace. So I think now is the time to kind of put this all together. One of my subscribers reached out to me and he says, I love the series of videos. I think you should do a who's who of Jabba's court. So at his request, I feel it's now time to do that. So we're going to get into the entertainment part of Jabba's Palace, and we're going to be doing that next. So stay tuned. Okay, obviously we're getting the HasLab Cantina, and for those watching this video that might be saying, well, what do we have for Jabba? You know, why are you doing this video? What are we populating? Well, obviously last year they came out with the book of Boba Fett's Throne Room. Now you can see it here in the in frame, and you know, obviously this is designed kind of sort of for the Disney television series Book of Boba Fett. But obviously all you have to do is remove the Bib Fortuna off the throne and add Jabba, and here's your Jabba's throne room. I know that I've seen countless people on the internet and YouTube and all the different fan sites that have been populating the Boba Fett's throne room with all Jabba figures, and it looks great. Okay, for those that want to kind of see this out of the box and see what the potential is, I mean, you can see it's a really nice little piece, you know. So, yeah, I just put the Black Series Jabba in place of where the throne that Boba would sit on, or where Bib was originally sitting on. So it just gives you an idea of what we're working with. So there's a lot of potential there now. And with the vintage collection Jabba the Hutt with Days and carded Salacious Crumb in 8D8, we have the potential now to create this. So if you picked up the Boba Fett throne room and you want to convert it over to Jabba, you're going to have that opportunity, because I think come September those are shipping. So yeah, let's get into some of his denizens. Populate the Palace is in effect. And obviously this came out quite a few years ago, maybe 2018, 19, I think. This came out concurrently with the barge. When the barge was released, this actually arrived shortly before the barge, I believe. I could be wrong. I mean, I could be off a little bit, but this kind of came out around when the barge did. And obviously, this is your trophy wall with the hand and carbonite, a couple of little doorways that attach to it. Is it great? I think it's pretty good. I think it could have been more, but the actual trophy walls, the selling feature here. So adding the throne room and this, add a little bit more creativity, and you've got yourself a palace. So let's get into this. Okay, for all intents and purposes, what I'm going to focus this video on, and like I said, I tried to be a little bit more organized with this series of videos because the Cantina one, I was kind of all over the road. I'm finding figures after the fact. I did 3 videos and I had to come back and do a 4th video because I had forgotten a bunch of stuff. So I listed everything. I've gotten very organized with this one. So for this video today, we're going to do anything and everything dealing with entertainment. Now, the entertainment, the bulk of it, is happening right in front of our good buddy Han Solo, who's frozen in carbonite. So I figured, I just showed you the box for the Jabba's Palace playset. Like I said, came out, I believe, in 2019, right around the release of the barge. So what this basically has is the alcove where Han Solo hangs in carbonite. He has a Tauntaun head on one side. He has a Yerba head on the other side. A good amount of grimy, damaged walls. You see, we got this here. We've got a little space over here where the walls are already starting to kind of deteriorate. You got a little panel here. Han Solo is actually kind of held in place there by like some sort of magnet. You got some vents here. When you actually shine light down, it gives it a really nice effect. So this is a nice little starting point for your trophy room, as I like to call it. So what I'm going to focus in this video is basically what's going on around this area. Obviously, there'll be some stuff going on in front of Jabba himself, but like I said, for all intents and purposes, this video will focus on all the entertainers. We'll wrap that up, and then next week we'll have another segment. All right, so let's get into this. Now, people are probably wondering, am I going to go with the original version or am I going to go with a special edition? Now, you can do either or, but if you're going to do the special edition, and I have, I'm lukewarm. Half of me likes the original Lopty neck with just size Snoodles, Max Rebo, and Droopy McCool. But Lucas always had, his vision was always to have like some crazy, number, some crazy, just show going on in Jabba's palace. So he has these crazy dancers. He added a bunch of different musicians on top of the size Snoodles. So here's the Jabba the Hutt dancers. Like I said, I'm going to just focus on the entertainment part of Jabba's palace today. So you have these 3 pre-posed figures. Are they great? For the time they were great. They have not aged well. So they are pre-posed. They're 5 points of articulation. They're nothing special. But I will say I've got them in my Jabba's Palace diorama. And you know what? They do what they're supposed to do. They stand there. I put their arms up in the air like they're doing their little backup routine. And you know what? For all intents and purposes, they work. So you can pick these up like this. Like I said, it's the power of the Force. Jabba the Hutt's dancers. I believe my toy vault in my neck of the woods still has these things for $20. So they're not over the top to pick up. So for $20, you can get the Jabba the Hutt dancers, and they will fill out one part of your Jabba's palace. Okay, so I unboxed them, or so you can see each individual figure. We have Ristel, right? Again, like I said, pre-posed. They're 5 points of articulation. I mean, the arms go up and down, heads turn, but they're kind of pre-posed. So here's Ristel, right? Then you have the Rhodian, Griata, They really don't come up with a lot of creative names for this. You got Greedo, you got Griata. I mean, yeah, let's really going out on a limb for those. And then you have the Twi'lek Lin May. And if you remember, after the number, Boba Fett's kind of flirting with these chicks. So, yeah. So, again, nothing special, but, I will say the one positive thing about these figures, whether you like special edition or not, is that they fill up some space. You don't want Jabba's palace to look vacant. It was bustling with activity. So the more figures you got going on in there, the better off it is. I put these guys in a corner, and are they fantastic? No, but they get the job done. So why not? So let's move on to the next series of characters. Okay, now these three ladies, I'm using air quotes. These three ladies weren't the only dancers in Jabba's palace. Now, obviously, we had Yarna Del Gargan, and here she is. And she kind of flops around in front of Jabba's days and, tries to entice him. She wouldn't entice me, but I mean, Jabba's a two-armed slug, with some crazy tail. So, maybe this is, right up Jabba's alley. I don't know. But in any event, she came out. She was, a desired figure. She ended up being a pegworm because, a lot of fans didn't get it. I mean, I picked her up, so let's add her into the mix. Okay. And last but certainly not least, we have Oola. Now, Oola was ultimately fed to the Rancor when she, refused Jabba's advances. Now, Oola's available in two iterations. Now, the initial one was this Power of the Force. I think it was like an online thing. I think I sent away for this. This wasn't available in stores. And it came with this pre-posed Salacious Crumb. This figure's not too bad, and I apologize for the glare, but that's just how things go. But again, this figure's not too bad if this is the only one available to you. If not, there was one that came with the Shadows of the Dark Side. I believe it was a Walmart exclusive. Jabba's throne. Jabba's throne. And it's this figure. This one came with the Salacious Crumb. It came with Jabba. It came with his platform, with his little armrest, and it came with this super articulated Oola. Now, this figure has, a lot of articulation, so you can actually, let's get her in frame before I start doing all this stuff. But yeah, she can bend at the knees. The other one you couldn't. It's got the cloth netting, clothing. But yeah, this one's a great figure, So I just have her, dancing in Jabba's court. So, yeah. Okay, let's move on now to the musicians. Okay, initially when they released the band, the musicians, they did it in what they called Jabba's 2-packs. So they would give you, I believe it was like Max Rebo and his organ, and it came with the Rhodian trumpet player or flute player, whatever he was playing. And then Barquin Dan was the Bith, and he came with Droopy McCool. And then Cy Snoodles came with Jao Yaza. Yowza. I don't know. I hate his character, so I always fumble his name. But in any event, you picked up those 2-packs, and they were they $10 a piece? $15 a piece? I lose track. It was so long ago. I want to say 10 because that would have made more sense. 2 figures, $10 back then would have been about what you would have paid. So you could have gotten the 6 musicians for around $30. Then later on, Walmart put out what they call here. Let's see if I can get this in a frame. Let's back the camera up a little bit here. They came out with this, the Max Rebo Jabba's Palace Musicians. This was a Walmart exclusive. And you can see it's got Max Rebo, it's got Barquin Dan, you can see Boda Nawito. I hope I said that right. It's such a crazy name. Then of course you had Cy, and then you had Droopy McCool. And yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so you had the original band, Droopy McCool, Cy Snoodles, Max Rebo, and then you had those other two musicians, Barquin Dan, the Beth, and then the Rhodian, Doda Boda Noedo. That's a mouthful. But in any event, yes. So you got them that way. And then they had the second one. Let's bring that one into frame. Apologize for this. But you had that Joe, or Jow Yowza. I fumble it. I don't like him. He's not even in my Jabba's Palace. Then you had Rappertoonie. Then you had Griata. You had Lin May. And you had Ristel. So there was multiple ways to get the Jabba's dancers. You could get them in that 3-pack that I showed you initially, and then you could get them in this Walmart exclusive. This is a nice little display, and there's even instructions on how you can remove them from the box and keep the packing materials to create a nice little display out of that. So if you have the cardboard cantina and you have these two sets, then you can create a nice little display out of all that. You know, of course, it's all going to be cardboard, but in any event, still a nice little display. So let's, I'm actually going to bring them into the frame and show you what those guys look like out of the box. So stay tuned. Okay, and here we have Rappertoonie. We have the Rhodian, Doda Boda Noedo. And we have the Bith, Barquin Dan, all pre-posed. They're not the greatest action figures you're ever going to see. There's barely anything action about them. I mean, you look at, like, the Ula next to him, and there's so much more life to that figure. You know, her arms, move, her elbows pivot, her knees pivot, the feet. I mean, there's so much more articulation later on. These, you stand them in your palace, and yeah, they look okay, but are there anything special? No. And even these band pairs, we got Droopy McCool. He looks great, but there's nothing to him, and he has no mobility. You put that flute in his mouth, and that's about all he's going to do. And Rappertoonie, and this is the Cy Snoodles that nobody really likes because it's all CGI. They really want the puppet version. You got, look at this, he's still got the plastic around him to protect him. That's funny. I didn't even realize that he still had the plastic because he just sits there and you can't tell. But the organ, the little keys, you can press them. So it's kind of a neat little band you got there. And I'll tell you one thing. Forgive me for 1 second. Sorry about that. But if you don't like the Cy Snoodles because it's too CGI for you, you can pull her out of there. And you can go in with the Kenner version, and that's more like the puppet. So, if you have the original Kenner size Snoodles, add her. You can still get her on eBay. It's going to cost you probably $20, but you could add her instead. So, you can see the entertainment aspect of Jabba's Palace is quite extensive. I mean, we've already got 3, 4, 8. There's like a dozen figures almost here already. So when we come back, I'm going to get to the last two characters, and they actually work in unison. And maybe that'll be a hint. Maybe that'll be my cheat for you. Let's see if you can figure out who the last two are. Again, they came carded, and they work in unison with each other. So stay tuned. Okay, I mentioned in a prior video that I'm a drummer. So anytime I see an action figure that, centers around or focuses on the drums, I'm really digging it. Well, I don't really dig these two figures, like I said, and hopefully you were able to kind of pick up on my hints. Now, each figure came with half of the drum. And then you just kind of pop them together, and boom, you have one drum. It's cool. It really is. And then you got Akrev here, and he's a weak way. And then you have Umpastay here. He's a Clatoonian. Now, again, it's a family channel, so I'll kind of try to reserve my comments and not try to get too vulgar here. But let's be honest, doesn't he look like he's getting ready to do number two? But it is what it is. But, you know, it's kind of cool to a certain degree, you know. Again, if you had done all these figures in super articulation, they would be able to achieve these poses, but you'd be able to put them back and have them standing normal like Ula is over here. Ula can do all these poses, but she can stand normal, you know. Look at her. Now, of course, I knocked her over. Of course, I had to jinx myself, but look. I mean, look at a super articulated figure has, ankles that rock. You got the rocker ankles. She can bend at the knees to sit, to do all kinds of action poses. If you had done that with these drummers, then look at him. Look at his leg. It doesn't do anything. I mean, yeah, his feet pivot, but there's no bending at the knee. This is pre-posed here. There's some articulation at his feet. Now, his midsection turns, his head swivels. There's a lot of articulation within the shoulders and the elbows and in his wrists. But why couldn't they do that at his lower body? He's so pre-posed, you can't do anything beyond that with him. This Oompa Stay is, this comes off, kind of neat. He's got this mallet here for banging the drum. Kind of cool, but not much else. So, we've got 13 entertainers here. So, we got the baker's dozen going on for entertainment. Like I said, I got some organization to this particular series of videos. So we're going to wrap this segment up. And next time, I'll figure out how I'm going to approach the next band of palace denizens. So thanks for watching, everybody. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Like I said, I'm going to do this in probably a few segments. My raw math, my initial math on the subject had me well over 50, and there's probably a couple that I might have missed, but 50 that is in Jabba's palace. So, I could do it all in one video, but it'd probably be an hour long, maybe longer. And, people nowadays with their busy lives, and it's summer, so people are out and about and doing things. Not everybody's got an hour to sit down in front of their phone and, watch an hour video. So I figure if I can do this in 3-4 segments, why not do that? So I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to start to wrap things up. But just want to remind everybody, if you haven't done so, please hit the subscribe button so I can continue to bring you that valuable Star Wars content we've all come to know and love. If you like what you see, give the video a like. I always say that helps the channel as well. If you have a question, a comment, some input, please leave it in the comment section. I get back to each and every one of you. Want to wish everybody a great day. Thank everybody for watching, and we will see you on the next video. And as always, may the Force be with you. Boshuda. Oh, 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 oh.